So, this is my fourth video, I think. I haven't posted in a while, so I figured it was due time for one. Well, since my last video, I got a new rifle, and I have two here. This front one is not the new rifle. This, I did a video on, is my hunting rifle. It is a 30-06 Savage Axis bolt action rifle. This is a Gen 1, got a scope on it. And it shoots the 30-06 cartridge. This is a 165 grain Winchester PowerPoint. Pretty decent cartridge, 300 yard effective range, which is nice, especially for hunting. But no, that is not the rifle we will be looking at today. It is this beast of a weapon. It is, I'd say, close to 3-4 feet long, made of solid wood, blued steel, polished bolt. If you know what this is, you know why it's important to the 30-06. So this is a Spanish 1893 Mauser. It has a 5-round internal double stack magazine, has a straight bolt handle, 3-position safety, spring-loaded bolt. It is stripper clip fed, and it does have iron sights. So it uses a I forgot the term, but it uses an adjustable front iron, flip up for more accurate shooting, down for regular fire. It is good for 300 yards on this. It's got the traditional Mauser barleycorn front sight. We'll show that later, closer to the actual rifle, and it has some interesting design features. Now this one, particular model, 1893, was built at Oviedo Arsenal. So between 1893 and 1922, and it would be this rifle that inspired the 1903 Springfield, which is where we get the two shells, the 30-06 and the 7mm Spanish Mauser. Make sure there's a difference, but I will be going over. So now that we're looking up close at this rifle, you can see few things. If you know the Mauser 98, might look a little different here. So the first notable difference between a standard Mauser 98 that most people are used to is this straight bolt. So instead of having the turn down bolt, which would be seen on the 98, this has a straight out bolt, which isn't horrible for cycling, but it's kind of, you can't really do anything without modifying the bolt handle for it to actually be mounted with a scope or something, but this worked for the Spanish. The next interesting thing is when you open the bolt, it comes up, the magazine follower comes up to the top where you would push around in, which is internal, so it just goes in like that. See there, it cycled pretty normally. But when you open it, cycle it back out, you can't put the bolt forward. So the reason for this is because, one, the magazine foot is squared on both ends, so it can't go past. But unique to the 93 bolt is this little lip here. This stops the bolt from being driven home on an empty magazine. And I believe this was removed later on the 95, the 98, and other models of the rifle, but it is here on the 93. This is the 3-position safety, so it goes, this is unsafe, middle or straight up would be a disassembly point, and then over completely would be safe. This is the bolt release here, but the Spanish 93 is unique because it has a vent hole right here in the front of the receiver. This was put there to stop from blowing the receiver apart on overpressured cartridges, which was a problem early with the 1893 in Spanish service. So putting it back together, you push this out and push this down, it goes back in, pushes it down, and the bolt is back in place. The next thing is the sight. So this has a, I don't remember off the top of my head the name of the sight system, but it has 2 V notches, one here for volley fire or Napoleonic style warfare. So a lot of what the late 1800s believed is that warfare would still be like the Civil War, possibly the Napoleonic Wars, much of the warfare at that time. And then for longer range shooting, it had a narrower V-notch rear for distance shooting, as you'd flip this sight up for long distance. And you can see it is marked out from starting at 400 meters out to 20,000, 20,000 being rather optimistic for the naked eye. Not impossible. But if you go forward, this is a pretty standard Mauser rifle. If you go out here, it still has the triangular barleycorn front sight. But if you come to the bottom, it's interesting because instead of the H rear front barrel band you would see on the 98, this has a solid front barrel band, but it has two stock pieces of metal inlaid beneath it that act as retainers. Also, this helps stop from cracking farther up the stock. So some unique features of the Spanish 98. Now, why is this rifle so important to American history, particularly, is these two cartridges. This is a 7mm 7x57 Spanish round. This is a 165 grain Western X shot, and it's got a round bullet, something that would be later changed to something more like this. But this is the reason, this rifle and this cartridge are the reason we got the 30-06 and the 1903. This rifle is the reason we ended up paying $20,000 in copyright infringement to Mauser post-Spanish-American War. And a lot of what came from the Mauser 7mm Spanish cartridge went into the first iteration of the 30-06, which is the 1901 M1901 30 caliber ball cartridge. So it had a bullet much like this. It was black powder, and they are no longer in production by a lot. But that would have been what the 1903 A1 was originally chambered in, and it would have been changed as the development of Spitzers and smokeless powder were added to combat, which brings us to the modern 30-06. And this is 165 grain round, but this would change kind of how the U.S. used rifles throughout World War I and beyond. Being this rifle, I believe this cartridge served up through Korea in the M1 Garand, the 1903 Springfield, the Browning automatic rifle, 1917 and 1918, the Browning 1919 A1 and A2, and countless other rifles. It's become a very popular sporting cartridge and still is. I enjoy it as a sporting cartridge, and I think it still has a place in modern shooting, maybe not as a combat cartridge, but as a sporting round. It's very good for large game. And I think some things to take away from this cartridge is that sometimes you don't have to change the past to use it in the future. This is a very reliable round. I've taken multiple deer with it, and I think it is probably one of the better reliable hunting cartridges because everyone knows it. Everyone's seen it. A lot of people have used it. And I think that is a good spot to stop this video before I go on a rant why the 30-06 is still relevant in shooting. Anyway, thank you for watching my video. I hope you liked it, and I'd appreciate it if you liked and subscribed.